Hello and welcome to Recruiting in Hospitality from caterer.com. I'm Lancelot Narayan as ever, and as you know, in each programme we invite top names from the world of hospitality to discuss matters affecting employers, so recruitment, development, retention, all that good stuff, as well as other matters that affect you and your teams. Now, we're almost upon Walk for Wellbeing time. Yes, it's nearly October. Can you believe it? Where's the year gone? Anyway, it's all good stuff. It's all in a brilliant cause. And I'm delighted to have three guests today to discuss Walk for Wellbeing. Very exciting. And I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves to you now. Craig, if you could start.
Yeah, of course. Hi, Lance. Hi, everyone. My name is Craig, and I'm the founder of Hospitality Talent Partner Mum. By day, I recruit for hospitality businesses across the UK. That's the day job, and then in my extra time, I'm delighted to be involved with various wellbeing initiatives or people initiatives, including Walk for Wellbeing, which I created about 3 years ago, and have run for the last 3 years with the help of many amazing people.
We'll get into all of that, the hows and whys and wherefores. Camilla, please.
Hi, thanks, Lance. Hello, everyone. I'm Camilla Woods. I'm the Services Director at the industry charity Hospitality Action.
Adrian?
Yes, hello, everybody. I'm Adrian Ellis. I'm the General Manager at the Lowry Hotel in Manchester, and I also chair the Hotel Association here for the last few years as well. So happy to be joining you today.
Thank you all for joining me. I'm delighted to have you on the podcast. Craig, can I start with you, if I may? Let's go back to what you were saying just now. Tell me about the origins of this event. I mean, a lot of people know about it. A lot of people really get into the spirit of it and take part. But for those who don't know, what are the origins of the event? Where did the idea actually come from? And how do you initially get the ball rolling?
Sure. So we originally, the idea came from, I guess, a real time of separation. If you cast your minds back a couple of years, mid-COVID, people were living very separate lives. There was a lot of stress, anxiety, loneliness for people in general. And I've been involved with Hospitality Action for about 3 or 4 years. So I sit on their fundraising board, and I think we just had our fundraising catch up. And the charity had shared their focus would be grant giving going forward, because there was a massive need at the time for people in the industry with who were at crisis point, who really needed that financial support. So the shift of the charity, rightly so, was going to be grant giving. And I remember and not fundraising, because at the time, asking people for money just wasn't right, and I remember putting the phone down and having a think about it, but also thinking that whilst we couldn't be asking people for money, there was potentially something that we could be doing. And that was bringing people together to talk about well-being. And so that's how the idea came about, And I picked up the phone to a gentleman by the name of Sean Wheeler, who most people listening to this podcast will know. And Sean's a great friend, and shared my thoughts with him, and we came up collectively with the idea of creating what was, for the last 2 years, known as Walk for Calm, in support of Hospitality Action and the campaign against living miserably. And that event has naturally evolved into Walk for Wellbeing this year, in support of HA. And the reason we've just decided to rename it is because well-being is really up there on high on the agenda of most businesses, and if it isn't, it should be. And I very much see the new revised event as a bit of a thank you to Hospitality Action for all of the work that they do, and have done, but they continue to do. And with things still out there tough, for a lot of people, I think it's important for the people that can do something to be doing something for those that need it the most.
Absolutely. How has it grown since you started it? Since that first year, how big has it become?
So we've kind of taken a different format each year. We've kind of played around with it, and we've done what we could over the past 2 years, subject to COVID restrictions. Are we still mentioning that word, COVID? Um, we were walking in bubbles, I think, for the second event. We've kind of played around with it, and that simply involved a lot of different people to get the message out there far and wide, to involve as many people from across the industry, whether that's people working in restaurants and bars to hotels to clubs, etc. Hospitality Action is there for all sectors of the industry, and I think it was really important to involve as many people as possible to get the message far and wide, and to include as many people as possible. So the event has evolved, it's grown. This year is looking absolutely amazing. We've had some amazing support, and then we've got amazing support coming through from various companies, including Lexington Catering, Sean Wheeler, I've already mentioned, Tonic Talent up in Birmingham, who will be hosting the Birmingham leg. Manchester Hoteliers Association, which I'm sure Adrian will talk about in a second,
Yeah,
who will be hosting Manchester, as well as PR support from the relationship. So I just want to kind of mention them. It's definitely, this is not a one person behind the scenes organising. It's very much a collective effort, and including HA, who very much want to put this event on their calendar.
absolutely, absolutely. Camilla, if I could just come to you, from a Hospitality Action perspective, in the past couple of years, what changes in needs from hospitality workers have you witnessed?
Yeah, thanks, Lance. And I am probably going to mention the COVID word here, as Craig was saying. I think since 2020, hospitality workers, they've had to deal with a raft of changes. So COVID-19 had a massive impact on financial and mental well-being. We had furlough, multiple lockdowns, and psychologically that was really tough, for the industry. And we saw a massive increase in people coming to us for help. Um, as Craig was saying, many workers felt really isolated during lockdown. So we've seen large increases in people presenting with mental health issues, financial arrears that are probably more significant in the last couple of years than perhaps they had been previously. We've always been there to help people in financial hardship and with sort of mental health issues, but we've definitely seen these increase, and the numbers of people reaching out to us has definitely increased. We have seen, obviously, unfortunately, an increase in addictive behaviours, particularly gambling, because a lot of people were, online gambling, online shopping during lockdown. So that's had an impact on people. And unfortunately, as well, a rise in domestic abuse cases, because, we've seen that generally, but we have also seen that ourselves at Hospitality Action. And then I think ongoing, into 2021 and into this year, since we reopened, pressure has been there again for our teams and our industry, because we've got continued staff shortages due to Brexit and post lockdowns. So, that's impacted customer behaviour as well. We've seen people kind of coming in very stressed, not always the most pleasant to members of staff. So that's definitely impacted how people are feeling. You've got a contrasting situation where some people are working really long hours because of staff shortages, and others are not getting the shifts they might have done because people have changed their operating models. So they might be closed on a Monday and Tuesday. So, again, that's really leading to kind of continued stress, really, and continued financial hardship. And a lot of people are in acute financial hardship now. And we've heard recently about the energy cap price rise has just been in the news. So unfortunately it's only going to get worse, really, with the cost of living. So really, to sum it up for Hospitality Action, that we've never really been busier. We're delivering more support, we're awarding more grants. Since 2020 we're over £2 million in grants. So
Wow.
absolutely a lot been going on, really, for our sector.
Wow, very busy time. Adrian, from your perspective, that the Lowry's one of the most famous hotels in the country. through lockdowns and since then, what operational challenges have you had to face as a GM?
Obviously lockdown was very traumatic for many reasons, and we ended up being closed for best part of a year and a half, obviously open and closing through the various tiers, if you remember all the tiers, 2, 3 and 4, all those strange times. And we reopened properly May last year, and yes, it definitely had some operational challenges. The sort of thing, but firstly we came back and there was a massive shortage of staff, especially last summer. When I think a lot of our European staff went back to their home countries, and therefore we lost those people. A lot of people had taken the time during the pandemic to rethink their careers or their lives, and they went off to do different things. Went off to run their own businesses or take time out or retire early and various things. So people did leave the industry, and I think across the board we noticed at one point, I think in Manchester, something like 4,000 hospitality vacancies in restaurants, bars and hotels, so pretty significant. And then that was overlaid with price increases, which continue to go up. Of course, we've just been referring to what you see in the news today, but price increase across the board for raw materials, and notably food still is going up very high. But laundry costs, but buying furnishings was expensive, and of course energy bills are very high for many of the properties, and including ourselves. So you got higher prices. Also, availability was a big thing that has improved a bit, but in the early days. We had a lot of challenges with lorries coming over from Europe, especially, so bringing over wine supplies or linen supplies and so on. So there was long delays; they couldn't get through, and still a little bit today. But there were those issues. So it was a combination, really, of challenges finding staff, problems with price increases, and problems with availability of supplies. They were all the big issues from when we first reopened. Moving on a year to today, things are a little bit better. So recruitment not quite as challenging, although there's still a big opportunity for the whole industry, I think, to find solutions going forward. But so we're a bit better on that front. Supply issues are a little bit better. There's still some issues with certain suppliers coming in from Europe, but we found a way, basically. About price increases, I think, we're all trying to adjust to that, and we try our best not to pass on the price increases to the customer, but there's only a certain amount the business can absorb, of course, over time. So that's a challenge, and probably will be for the months ahead still quite tough conditions, I think, for many operators.
Absolutely. I mean, you mentioned just now recruitment's got a little bit better.
Yeah.
Over the past 2 years, have you had issues relating to retention of staff, of employees? Has that affected teams in any way?
Yeah, it has. It's been I mean, there's very, very competitive circumstances, and still is today. So the problem with retention is because your head can be turned because you've got a better offer around the corner, and that's the challenge. So most people were happy to come back to work, happy with what they were doing and going back into that, happy to be working after 2 years of lockdown. So that was all pretty good, and we tried to make things as attractive as possible for those returning, of course. But the challenge really is your head, and that's still the case today, can be turned by great offers. And with the competitive marketplace, people were offering salaries much higher, benefits much higher, and various other attractive offers. And I'm sure you read about them in the media, all sorts of things, from retention bonuses, or you get a bonus once you sign on as an employee, and all sorts of things people were doing. So that's still going on, and the retention issue for us has been really one of trying to keep people focused on here, because again, there's only a certain limit you as an operator can go in terms of the offers you make. So that's still in play, I think, the competitive marketplace, and trying to keep people that you've recruited or had for a while in your organization, keep them focused on the current conditions of employment is more challenging today.
Absolutely. Camilla, just going back to you for a moment, has there been an increased pressure on? I mean, you've said yes, you have, had the need to respond to on people asking for help over the last few years. A couple of years has been an increase in that, but has it been just front or back of house employees, or have you seen requests for help from managerial side as well?
Absolutely. The pressure is definitely across the business. those both front of house, back of house, managers, employees. So what we've done, particularly for managers where they've been requesting support, we already offered a managerial advice line, and a managed referral service, which is via our employee assistance program. And that's there to provide support for employees and managers. So it's addressing some of those more complex issues, such as poor mental health, addictive behaviours. Particularly with COVID, bereavement, it can be a really key issue. A lot of our teams would have faced bereavement. So absolutely, managerial support has been a key focus, and has increased again in demand. We're doing a significant number of managed referrals now, as part of the employee assistance program. And then more generally, to support managers across the industry, we designed a wellbeing check-in, and it was a very simple tool really that anybody could use when their teams were coming back into work. Because I think, with COVID, one of the things we don't actually know yet is how it will impact people long term. So the psychological effects of furloughs, pressure, sustained financial hardship, actually, it will affect people in lots of different ways. And I think we're still seeing that kind of play out. So one of the things that you can do with the wellbeing check-in is it's just a great tool to check in with your teams and to start those open mental health conversations. It can ask you, do you know about where to access support at work for your mental health? So we designed that as a really kind of accessible tool that managers across the industry could use. As I say, it was specifically done in that kind of post-return to work phase, but it can now be adapted to check in with your team on a regular basis about their well-being. And we're definitely working with a lot of employers and encouraging them to take the time to do those well-being check-ins with their teams and just get a sense of, we kind of call it sort of just taking the temperature within your business and seeing how people are doing.
Right, that sounds like a brilliant initiative. It really does. That sounds fantastic. Craig, as you have heard, as we've all heard, there is a great need to for all round hospitality. People are going to want to help, right? Tell me about this year's event. Tell me where it's happening and how can people get involved.
Yeah, of course. So I guess the first thing to say is this year's event has been designed to be completely accessible and flexible, to give as many people the chance to partake as possible. So this year the event is running between the 8th and the 16th of October. So that's Saturday to the following Sunday across the country. So people can take part wherever they are located as individuals with their friends, family, work colleagues, team members, and take part however they want to. So challenge themselves physically with their own distance in their own location. They can do a relay. They can make it over a period of days during those 9 days, completely flexible. So that's the first part of it. And then on the last day of the event on Sunday, the 16th of October, we've put together a hosted 20-kilometer challenge, which sounds an awful lot, but after some feedback from last year, there was a lot of thought about going into the distance, and people felt that if they were sponsoring, then it needed to be a decent challenge. So we're doing 20k in London, Birmingham, Manchester, and Glasgow on Sunday, the 16th of October, which is absolutely amazing. We've got great sign-ups already. And again, those events are open to everybody, for individuals, for couples, friends, family, to join together. Work colleagues, teams from businesses are signing up. Are you
going to share some stats with us that you just looked up?
Yeah, so I think we've got about 50 teams so far. We've hit £2,000 already, which is amazing, and much better compared to previous years. And like I said before, Lance, it's all about doing what you can. Not everybody will be able to sign up and take part. So we're encouraging those people to sponsor, to social share, to get behind the message of coming together and really walking the walk to make a difference. This is, about actually making a bit of a statement to promote well-being within the industry while supporting the charity.
Mm.
So we've got some, we've got some really wacky ideas coming through for fundraising as well. We've got people doing all sorts of spin-off events. Hospitality has always been about, the spirit of the people for me. And, I'm a great believer that people, when people come together within the industry, great things can happen. And this event is purely about that. So I'm really, really excited this year.
Brilliant. Adrian, what are Team Lowry doing?
We're hosting a Manchester walk. So our walks, we hope, will be really, really interesting for people. So our walk starts at Sale Water Park, and I'm sure not everybody knows where that is. It's South Manchester. It's about 5 miles from the city centre. Starts by a lake. It's beautiful. So you get out there, a lot of water sports on the lake. You walk around the lake once, and then you go up onto the river, which is the River Mersey. You walk along that to Chiltern Water Park, similar water park, lovely bird life. You walk around that, very calming and relaxing walk, then back onto the river, walk as far as Didsbury, and then turn around across the bridge, and then back along the riverside, back to Sale Water Park. All that, half of that is on the Trans-Pennine Trail. It's nice and flat, no hills, no valleys. You can bring your dogs, your kids, your aunts, your uncles, whoever you want to bring.
Right.
We kick off at 10 o'clock. And we're hoping to get lots of people too. We've got a few signed up already. We're hoping to get a lot more. And it should be a really lovely walk. We expect sort of 4 to 4.5 hours to complete. But it's all there's no built up areas at all. You just walk along green, grassy areas by the river most of the time, or around these beautiful lakes. You'll see a lot of nature, bird life, and it should be a very relaxing experience for everybody. So that's going to be an amazing walk. We really look forward to that.
That sounds lovely. It really does. Is there much competition between the Manchester hotels trying to outdo each other?
Always, of course. Where doesn't that happen? So there's always a little bit of that. So we're trying to get each hotel to have a team. And the idea is that all teams will bring people along. I mean, we're not going to make it a race. It's meant to be a walk for well-being. So we don't want to be overly competitive. But there probably will be an element of competition, I'm sure.
Oh, fabulous. Fabulous. This sounds great. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Look, Camilla, I do need to ask you. I mean, and it's going to be a lot of fun. It really is. So many people are getting involved, but I do need to ask you, why is Walk for Wellbeing so important to the work that Hospitality Action does?
Yeah, thanks, Lance. I think it's really important in two main ways to Hospitality Action's work. The first reason really is it raises awareness of who we are, what we do, how we can help. And as Craig says, we very much view the hospitality industry. It's a community, it's a family. As Craig says, great things happen when people in hospitality get together. But also some very difficult things happen to people in hospitality. There are life events, unexpected illnesses, financial pressures. So, our kind of key raison d'etre really is, we always say we've got you. We're here for the industry. We're here to put our arms around people, and we want as many people in the industry, working in the industry, retired from the industry, to know about us and how we can support. So what Walk for Wellbeing really does is help us maintain that awareness, raise that awareness, and if we're looking particularly at kind of mental health and well-being, a statistic just to give you is that 1 in 3 people at the moment who are coming to us for support reference poor mental health, either for themselves, a family member, partner. So it's a really, really prevalent, what we would call a presenting issue when we start to sort of work with people. So what we also really hope is that the walk will encourage people to have those open conversations about their mental health and bring mental well-being to the top of the agenda. And it's a really, as Craig was saying and Adrian was saying, it's a really accessible way to encourage people to get out and about, support their own mental health, and have those conversations. And at the same time, absolutely, it helps us raise funds. We don't get any government funding, and we do anticipate mental health worsening over the coming months, financial hardship worsening, thanks to ongoing food and fuel crisis. So it's really key just to keep the funds coming in, and all the funds raised will go to those who need our support the most. And yeah, just kind of maintain that fundraising for the charity, really. So yeah, we're really delighted to be working with everyone and doing these walks across the UK as well, which is just fantastic to see all the different cities getting involved as well.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Craig, give us all the socials, please. Where can people go to get involved?
So obviously Hospitality Actions chat is our main kind of channel. We've got Walk for Wellbeing on Instagram as well. But Hospitality Action is the main kind of channel for now. All the updates will be posting out. We're getting people to tag using the hashtag Walk for Wellbeing as well. So that if people can do that, great. LinkedIn is a big one. We've got loads of assets for people to use and share. So anyone that wants to, please get in touch. All the contact info is on the website walkforwellbeing.org.
Lovely. Lovely. It's been an absolute joy speaking to the three of you this afternoon. Thank you very much for joining me, and I'll see you out there
Great.
doing it. I've got some
Okay, right.
new walking shoes which I'm still breaking in,
Brilliant.
but I'll be digging them out. So
You'll be ready
thank
by
you very
October. Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Recruiting in Hospitality. Join us again next time. Do subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on the socials, which is Twitter at caterer.com. That's caterer, DOTCOM. Likewise on Instagram. You can find us on LinkedIn and on Facebook. Yeah. And like I said before, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast where you get your episodes first. Okay. Listen, it's been fabulous. I've been Lancelot Ryan. Thank you very much to my guests. One more time, Craig, Camilla, Adrian, you've been fabulous. Thanks so
Thank
much.
you.
And I'll see you again on Recruiting in Hospitality. Bye-bye.
Thank you.